Good, good.
Awesome. Welcome, brother. Okay, get started right. Turn this light on here. There. Okay. More people coming in. Okay, so it looks straight as it's gonna be. It feels like it's crooked. I think it's the camera.
Um, yeah, yeah. This was like the very first fundraising gig that I ever took, and it was a $20 million raise, and
I think
they
you're on.
didn't
I think
raise
you're
any
on
money.
mute, Jake.
They weren't very organized.
Jake, can you hear me? Let's go ahead and mute Jake.
All right, I'm back.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. I'm gonna go live now. I'm gonna click on record here.
Recording in progress.
Okay, and hello everybody. Welcome. You're kicking it off today. Excited to be here. Going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Capital Gains Tax Solutions Mastermind, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax exit options and how to defer capital gains tax when they go to sell highly appreciated assets. And each and every week, we are here to try to make it as simple as possible to deferred sales trust and other strategies as well. That could help you with your multi-million-dollar exit or help your clients do the same. This structure works for any asset of any kind, which we're going to be talking about today, but you got to have $1 million net proceeds, $1 million gain to qualify. And in today's kind of top topic we're going to talk about here is my DST video shoot with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. On Thanksgiving, I'm feeling extra thankful from yesterday. The day after Thanksgiving, we were here on Friday. And on Monday, I had an opportunity to spend some time. If you've ever seen the show Shark Tank with a gentleman named Kevin Harrington, he was on the first 6 seasons. He usually sat on the far left if you're looking at the screen. And he's an amazing individual in a lot of ways. But one of the biggest things is he's a part of our book, Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan, which is awesome. And he wrote a book called Mentor to Millions. And one of his passions is helping to mentor the next generation, to leave a legacy for entrepreneurs to build and make an impact. And so I had some time to spend with Kevin. And I thought I would just kind of go through a few of the questions. It's interesting when you're on these video shoots with people like this, they, obviously everything's super organized, is the full team, the full effort, but the time frames for TV are much shorter than what we can do here for long form, I guess, podcasting or videos that we're shooting on Masterminds. And so I have the questions that their team asked me, and that I would just kind of go through those and probably answer them if I had more time. This is what I would have said. And the first question they said was, in your own words, what does Capital Gains Tax Solutions offer? And this is the answer that I had wrote in the script, but we help individuals sell and defer up to 100% of their capital gains tax and or eliminate estate tax on the exit of any assets of any kind, so they can first preserve their wealth. Preservation is huge when you're looking at somewhere between 25 to 50% of your gain being wiped out by the capital gains tax and or the 40% being wiped out by the estate tax. So that's the first step, is preserving that exit. You're harvesting and you don't want, again, 25 to 50% to just be wiped out. So the first thing is preserving that wealth. The second part is creating more wealth. And we do that through optimal timing, by investing into different assets of any kind, and essentially buying when it makes sense. And that preservation of that extra 25 to 50%, and then hopefully that optimal timing to help you create more wealth. Also, we unlock that through joint venture partnerships with the trust, so you're not capped at just the interest rate on the promissory note. And the last thing we would have said was unlocking freedom. And this is the key for each individual. So there's the financial reasons to do things, and then there's the reasons to do things based upon your unique circumstances. And that could be time, location, partnership freedom, 1031 freedom, debt freedom. That could be a number of different things. And that's the key that I would have said there. So our company also provides a lifeline of those entangled in the complexities of capital gains tax, 1031 exchanges, restrictions, and unlocks freedom for individuals to make an impact with their wealth on their own terms. And we believe that by doing this, we provide an opportunity for clients to unlock freedom and provide impact with their wealth. So that's kind of what I would have said. This is kind of my notes. Then the second question he asked was, what's the main drive behind why you started Capital Gains Tax Solutions? And I think it's also important whenever you're sharing, the passion behind something that you have, that you go back and you think about, the dots that you can see that are connected now to where you're at from where you've been. And so what I would have said if I had the full time to share it, would have said, hey, growing up, I saw both sides of wealth. I kind of saw the silver spoon of my dad and my mom before they were divorced. Before they were divorced, the wealth, the Harleys, the Corvettes, the boats. This is in the Bay Area in California. Lots of, let's say, margin in wealth. And then there was the wealth after the divorce, meaning my dad kept the wealth and my mom really didn't have any wealth. We didn't, I would live with my mom 90% of the time. And so my dad paid next to zero in child support. And so I saw the difference between, the two worlds simultaneously, but mostly with my mom because we lived with her 90% of the time. So we would travel back from the Bay Area of California to Sacramento, and my dad would tend to spoil us with stuff and experiences and also help us to work hard in what we were doing. But then we'd go back to mom's house and wonder why dad would not pay child support. Mom worked about 2 jobs and was doing her best to be with us until she got sick. And then when she got sick, she couldn't work as much. And then we relied on my grandma some more. And thinking about back at this time, I remember the Cadillac that my mom had before the divorce. She had that, and then there was the year that they created like the aluminum. I don't know if you guys, this is the mid '80s, the aluminum engine, and it was supposed to be lighter, more efficient. Anyways, they didn't last. The thing blew up multiple times. It was basically a lemon, a mess. So we ended up not even having a car. If it wasn't for my grandma, we wouldn't have had a car. We had a van. It was a white Aerostar van that we had throughout all of high school that we would all share and use for all of the sports and the practices and stuff. So. But here's the key. My mom taught us to forgive my dad, be grateful for all the positive traits he instilled in us, the hard work, the being a business owner. And these challenges were a way for my faith to grow and God to build character in me beyond just finances and wealth and working hard. And this kind of drove me to decide also to be financially independent, generous with my wealth, and never to let finances come between me and my family and or help others do the same. And this kind of all comes to conclusion here in that during the 2000 economic crash, I saw how not being able to exit due to highly restrictive capital gains tax strategies such as the 1031 exchange can break up partnerships, can break up families, can break up finances and break up dreams. And a client in particular, his name was Steve, he had over $50 million of multifamily property. He ended up losing it all, losing his house, plus losing his marriage in a divorce, and the time with his kids. And I think that's the biggest thing with the divorce. It caused the time with my mom and my dad to be separated and be split. It was never, ever going to be together again. If I was with my dad, I was away from my mom. If I was away from my mom, obviously I was away from my dad. And it created this, pain and not wanting to have regret for this for my future. So I thought if I just had this specific DST skill set that I had today, looking at Steve's situation when I was at Marcus and Millichap, and this is when we were helping people do 1031 exchanges, and we thought that was the end all be all. Perhaps I could have helped him and his kids who are now living in 2 homes like my brother and I did growing up. And so that's just a few of the intro of the origin story. Hopefully that's some inspiration, and also gives me a chance to share that because you're on this video screen with Kevin and we're sitting there and it's just like rapid fire and everything is moving too fast. But I want to welcome everyone here. We have Jake Miller. He is our Strategic Alliance top 1 for financial advisors. Jake, how you doing? Any thoughts on that kind of intro story monologue?
It's interesting to know that finances are at the heart of everything that is good and bad in life and in our society and amongst relationships. If we can get control of the finances, everything else, I'm not saying that it's solved, but we're not distracted by the money side of things. We can be more focused on the relationship side of things. We can be more focused on the quality of life and the things that we really need to go after and find. And if we end up profit sharing less right now with the government, then, when it's not necessarily required through the deferred sales trust, then we can more effectively move forward and find that happiness in life, find that happiness in that relationship, and focus on things that really matter more after the money piece is taken care of.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's exactly. It's like money is the tool that, if used properly and structured properly, can enhance and unlock freedoms and build cash flow and make an impact. But can also sometimes be the thing that divides. And part of when it divides is when there's less of it. That tends to be a challenge because partnerships want to go separate ways. Things happen, people get divorced, things change, things need to sell. And if there's that extra amount there, it can make the pain or the challenges a little more bearable. Cool. Well, that was the main part of the intro here. And also, as people have questions or thoughts, you can also put it into the chat and say hello to us. Jake and I are happy to answer the questions and go through it. In the meantime, I'll answer another question that came up. It says, what differentiates your service from competitors, right? And we do have competitors out there. The first one being the 1031 exchange, although we do think that's more of a blockbuster comparison in the sense that it only works for investment real estate. It doesn't work for primary homes, cryptocurrency, business sales, stock, public or private stock. And in fact, how I first got connected with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank was he came on my podcast, and we started to talk about how he had bought the stock, and this public stock, he didn't know how to sell it and defer the capital gains taxes. So he's saying, what you're telling me, you can sell public stock, defer the capital gains taxes. My guys haven't been able to figure this thing out. And I'm saying, yeah, well, we have a way to do that. Love to show you that. And that began the journey that is continuing on with the video show and the co-marketing effort. But that's the first thing. Is first of all, you got to make sure that the service or the strategy that you're using is solving your challenge that you're selling, right? And depending on what you're selling, you want to make sure that again, the strategy works for that. So unlike competitors on the tax front, we really focus here at Capital Gains Tax Solutions, providing a tailored solution above and beyond just the deferred sales trust. If sometimes that's the number one thing, but also 1031 exchanges, Delaware statutory trust, also investing into multifamily properties to unlock cost segregation and bonus depreciation. It's customized, and sometimes it's diversified, and sometimes it's multiple things. And the key is our focus is bringing in some of the best, we believe, in the world or in the country when it comes to financial planning, multifamily investing, hard money lending, tax planning, tax reporting, and bringing this team like a dream team, like a family office approach to unlock liquidity, diversification, eliminate estate tax, and again, make an impact with the wealth. A lot of our competitors, it feels like they offer kind of a one-size approach, meaning, hey, let's just go into the stock market or let's just go into insurance, and they don't bring in that real estate aspect or have that expertise in that real estate aspect, and that becomes, I think, one of our most competitive advantages we have. Jake, you want to add any of that? What do you think?
At the end of the day, this financial tool that we call the deferred sales trust is built around helping us defer to the future taxes that we'd otherwise owe now. In doing that, we can combine it with other tax strategies and other financial or estate planning strategies. It kind of works. And I often talk about it as being the keystone in the archway, the keystone piece of your financial plan for taxes, for estate planning, for many other things. It allows you to invest the gross proceeds of a sales transaction rather than just, net of taxes, which sometimes can eat away 30, 40, 50% of what you'd otherwise have left over to reinvest. And so if you can double what you can reinvest with, you can obviously do more with your money and your estate and your wealth than you could otherwise. And so again, a financial tool, we combine it with other things that you're doing. We work with the other CPAs, other financial advisors, other attorneys, and we coordinate so you can have an overall better outcome than you would have had you not known about the deferred sales trust.
Perfect. I saw Rebecca jump in here. Rebecca, if you're there, say hello. I'll tee you up with a question, and we will kind of go down a few other ones that I had during the video shoot. She's not quite there, so I'll just tee myself up. So it says, who is the ideal candidate? So who is the ideal candidate for a deferred sales trust? The ideal candidate are individuals who are looking to not only sell the highly appreciated asset, multi-million-dollar assets, typically. They have at least $1 million net proceeds, $1 million gain, and it can be real estate, crypto, stock, public or private, a business. It could be an LLC, S Corp, C Corp, and they want to defer the capital gains tax for better financial planning And for the ultra high net worth individuals, subject to a 40% estate tax, right? That death tax, which is a huge challenge for those that are worth essentially 10 million married or more as of 2026. So there's a couple deal stories that can kind of bring some of this to life. We worked with Warren and Catherine Strand, and Warren found himself trading what we call the 3 T's for the 2 T's. Okay. And so the 3 T's in this scenario were the toilets, trash, and the termites. And he was trading it for the 2 T's, which were his 2 twin daughters. And the biggest challenge was his time was being pulled away from his family to have to drive 2, 3, 4 hours on a round trip through traffic to the property, even though he had a property manager. And the property was a 15-unit multifamily complex in Sacramento. He was finding a lot of that pain of, what am I doing with my time? I have the multiple millions of dollars here. We can retire today. My twin daughters only have so much time before they're out of the house and they're in college or off into the world by themselves. I want to be spending time with my family. And this property is pulling from that. It's no longer a blessing. It's a blessing financially, but it's becoming more of a hindrance or a pain because it's sucking up the time and energy that I could be spending with them. And so he decided to say, he said he made a great trade. He traded the 3 T's, toilets, trash, and termites, for the 2 T's that mattered most for him and his family, which is his twin daughters, to spend time with him. So these are the transformational stories. We want to share with you how the deferred sales trust can do that for you. And the question is, what is your clear vision for your exit plan? What does it mean for you or your family if you didn't have to spend that time on that business, that time on that real estate, that management of the employees, the management of that property, the continual challenges that places like California or New York or New Jersey comes to entrepreneurs, business owners, real estate owners, and or you're just ready for a new chapter in your life. That's what the deferred sales trust can provide, an opportunity for you to unlock freedom that you desire. Jake Miller, what are your thoughts on that? Or you want to add or subtract?
It's interesting that we're Black Friday, which means we're the day after Thanksgiving. We have Christmas coming up. A lot of these other countries that we may work in or do business with have up and coming holidays. At the end of the day, a lot of us are thinking, as we approach the end of the year, what have we done this year? What did we do well? What could we have done better? And when it comes to money, did we hit our goals? Did we increase ourselves? Even increasing ourselves, did we actually take home more? Or did we just spend more? A lot of these things from the point of reflection. And I think, Brett, coming into your interview with Given O'Hare and everybody else, they made you reflect. They asked you a lot of thought-provoking questions. Capital gains tax solution. What do you do? What is your goal? What is your vision? And this is something that we should all be doing. We should all think about 2023, 2024. What are our goals, hopes, and dreams? It makes me remember, and I'm going to get a little anecdotal here, the Alice in Wonderland and the Cheshire Cat. Alice walking along the path, not really knowing where she's going. And the Cheshire Cat pointing that out in an obvious way by asking questions. And Alice asking, well, where should I go? And the cat asking, well, where do you want to end up? And she says, well, I don't know. Then it doesn't matter which path you choose. Which bringing us back to the point of saving money on taxes. If our goal is financial freedom, if our goal is to sell this property now, and if one of our biggest hesitations is the taxes on that property we're going to have to pay should we sell today, if we can defer those taxes forward, effectively the deferred sales trust, if we can mitigate that one big obstacle that oftentimes we have with the deferred sales trust, then we have a clearer vision of where, not only where we want to go, we know we want to sell this, we want to get the money, we want to reinvest, everything else, but identifying the end result helps us know that via the deferred sales trust, we can get there. And so, Brett, with a lot of these up and coming big transactions, which oftentimes accumulate here at year end, and a lot of times people are in a big rush to get things done for fiscal or tax purpose reasons, calendar year reasons, the deferred sales trust is here. And it's not necessarily the silver bullet, but it solves a lot of the problems and obstacles that a lot of us would otherwise have, or hesitations in pulling the trigger, in accomplishing the things that we need to, so that we can then change what we do in life, sell that business, sell that piece of real estate, And I get power now over the timing of when to recognize that for tax purposes so that you can change what you do every day. You don't have to show up to that plumbing job every day, sell that business. You can reinvest how you wish. You now have bought yourself time through the attorneys, through the trustee, everything else, so that you are now in control of your finances and your wealth. And you now have a better path, and you don't have to be like Alice in Wonderland and not have a destination in mind.
Very well said, Jake. Absolutely love that. And by the way, you can learn more about Jake Miller by going to strategictaxsolutions.com. And you can get started now too by going there and or capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. So I do want to dive into, quickly the track record and then how this whole thing works, because you might be running, that sounds great, Brett, Jake, fantastic. I kind of have a clear plan that I want to sell. I know I clearly have a problem with the huge tax bill if I don't do some kind of planning. So is this thing all legal? Does it work? What's the track record? Well, close to 30 years is the DST track record. Thousands of closes, billions in assets values sold, and over 24 successful no change IRS audits, state and federal. There's also a private letter ruling. But the big thing is batting 1,000. 1,000 meaning it's never had a single change on any of the audits. So it has a perfect track record as of this date, and we're closing in on 30 years. There's a quick deal story about this for a gentleman who did a 2-year due diligence. His name is David Young, and David Young serves as a money manager who could support financial advisors and work with people like Jake Miller. He can be part of the team for the Deferred Sales Trust. But he manages some of the biggest wealth in the world, and he's really great at what he does. He has over a 30-year track record himself. He ran with a gentleman named Bill Gross, and they built PIMCO from $80 billion to $1.2 trillion about 20 years ago. Long story short, he did a 2-year due diligence on the Deferred Sales Trust, on the structure, on the strategy, had his team, his legal team sign the NDA, fly back, meet with the tax attorney who created the structure. His name is Todd. And long story short, he is a part of the inner circle, if you will, for the DST, working with Capital Gains Tax Solutions to offer financial services alongside financial advisors like Jake Miller. And essentially, that's the key here, is building a team that has a track record of performance and a track record of vetting the Deferred Sales Trust. It's so important, because guess what? Not everyone knows how to do this or has had signed the NDAs, has had their legal team review it. And sometimes you're closing in on a small window of selling. And this is part of why we're trying to put the content out here today, so you can feel empowered and you can continue down the journey of preparing for building a capital gains tax exit plan. So that's the track record. So how does it work? Well, it starts with setting up a trust. And this trust can be a name, can be, the Exit Plan 2024 Trust. And an investor is looking to sell something. You might be that investor. Your client might be that investor. And the trust is going to be established. And then the asset itself that's going to be sold, you want to find a buyer. And let's just imagine it's a piece of real estate. Well, we just did a $13 million exit in San Diego for 4 different parties who were selling. One ended up paying us tax. The other 3 did a deferred sales trust. But they found a buyer for $13 million. They had about a 40% tax between 13 and 4 million, which is their gain. And so they're going to pay a huge tax. So we established the trust for each of the individuals who wanted to use it. And then before the property was fully transferred to the buyer, the trust actually bought the position. And that's the easiest way to do this, is that the actual asset is sold to the trust, and the trust ultimately sells to the ultimate buyer. And the seller is now due back the funds that went into the trust, plus a interest rate, typically around 5 to 9%, just depending on the risk tolerance. And this is where our company, Capital Gains Tax Solutions, starts to take over a little bit more, in that we do the trust management. We're the trustee, and we're the third-party unrelated trustee. And then we work with financial planners like a Jake Miller, or we go into real estate investments, or sometimes we build up a team to help invest the funds. And since you, the seller, did not directly receive the proceeds from the sale, you can defer the capital gains taxes that would normally be incurred upon a direct sale at that time. And this can help, again, to have an extra 20 to 50% of the proceeds working for you. And then as you receive payments back from the trust, we call these installment payments, you slowly pay tax as it's received. And so, for example, you sell a $5 million asset, you had a $2 million of tax. Well, instead of only having $3 million to invest, the $5 million will be in the trust, and the trust will produce cash flow And as that cash flow comes back to you, you pay only what you receive in that given year. In other words, you have an extra 2 million working for you. And the DST offers this flexibility of payback, but also the flexibility on how the funds can be invested. And this can lead to, good diversification, good timing of investments, and good opportunities for you to, again, unlock freedom, whether it be passive or active. So that's how the deferred sales trust works. Again, go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com if you want to learn more. Jake, what would you say that you would add or subtract to that little window of how things work?
I would talk a little bit more. Well, I'm going to jump in. You did everything post-transaction and the mechanics, and I'm going to say post-transaction. Now that you have the trust, reinvestments. A lot of our clients kind of want to, let's just talk about those that want to sell off into the sunset. Closer to retirement age, they sold their business. Their business was their nest egg. They reinvested all their life back in their business. And now they just want to spend time with grandkids and their kids. And they want to go to those ball games that they always missed, etc. We have the availability to reinvest gross proceeds minus attorney fees into the stock market. The stock market is not everything. We can do the stock market. We also have access to a lot of Reg D or alternative investment funds, by which, inherent with the trustee that we have before us right now, you are considered an accredited investor, and for many other types of investments, a qualified client. These are specific investment terms that are required for these higher level investments that are not just stock market investments, but are also, hey, I want that 12% short-term debt fund, or hey, I want that private equity South America real estate fund, or I want that short-term rental real estate fund, or etc. We have a lot of investment opportunities for you. Brett can help you syndicate a lot of US deals. I can help you syndicate a lot of deals in Mexico or other countries. And together, we form a team to help you with the deals that you bring to the table, the things that you want to invest in, and perhaps should you want more options and know about what else is out there that you've never been presented before, we can bring those to the table as well. So post-transaction, now you've got this big pot of money inside of a deferred sales trust. We help you put together an allocation of what might be appropriate, suitable, and might correspond with your investment objectives and goals. This being said, we bring to the table a lot of things that maybe you hadn't known were available before to complement what you do know. And with three heads now coming together, you oftentimes have a better plan than by yourself.
Very well said, Jake Miller. And then with that being said, we're going to open it up for questions. You can either type it in the chat, you can unmute yourself. We actually only have a couple of guests today. It looks like we have a Claire and a Mafe, so if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So if you'd like to say hello to Jake or I, ask a question or two, we're happy to help you live here. And for those that are listening, we're on YouTube and we're on Facebook right now, streaming live. And so you can find the YouTube channel by going to Capital Gains Tax Solutions, search that on YouTube. You can also find us on Expert CRE Secrets. That's the other YouTube channel that we work out of as well. And if there is no questions, Jake and I will talk. We can talk. That's something we can do pretty good at. Check out the book, by the way, Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. It is what we believe the proven playbook for unlocking your ideal wealth plan when selling any asset of any kind for yourself or for your clients. It's on Amazon, hit the #1 bestseller, which is really cool. And this is the entire story, kind of playbook, overview, deferred sales trust, investing. So I have a few chapters, and so does Jake. Jake has one chapter, and then we have Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank has a chapter, and some other really smart people like Don Winner from DLP Capital, Joe Fairless from Ashcroft Capital, just some amazing folks. We have Tony Robbins CPA in here as well, which is pretty cool. So check out Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan at Amazon. So looks like there's no questions, and Mike is not here today to also to facilitate. So Jake, what would you like to talk about?
Brett, we have some clients who are very entrepreneurial. I think it'd be kind of fun just to talk about how some of these clients have reinvested in their own businesses through the deferred sales trust as either a passive or silent partner, etc. How that joint venture might function and work. Would you like to jump into that?
Yeah, I think that sounds great. And this is key, right? Because I think a lot of folks think initially they look at this as like a retirement or a passive, or, oh no, I've got to give all controls to all of the capital to these third parties. And now I'm not able to build the wealth, do the things I enjoy or start that new business venture. And it couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, it's just the opposite. And the single greatest reason that I'm here today is because I am that entrepreneur. I am that person who likes to run my own deals, do invest my own deals with partners, build wealth, help my clients build wealth. I'm very active and hands-on by nature, playing sports growing up, doing all the things, building real estate with my parents. And so if it wasn't for this exact concept that I'll lay out right here, right now, I wouldn't be here at all. In fact, I'd probably just still be a real estate broker. Who knows what I'd be doing, but I wouldn't be here. So that being said, you can joint venture partner with a trust and you can be an entrepreneur. We call this the entrepreneurial freedom and flexibility to be active. What does that mean? Well, it's kind of like a check for control. What's that? Well, if you have an IRA or 401k, you might have heard a thing called check for control, where you can open up a bank account, and that IRA, that 401k, it can be directed and it can be invested with you, alongside of you, into investments. There's definitely some controls in place. And what this looks like is an LLC being formed with the deferred sales trust, and the trust becoming a joint venture partner. This is not a loan from the trust. If it was a loan to be taxable, it can joint venture partner with you. And so what Jake was referring to is we have clients who will joint venture partner with the trust. And so at first they might be passive for a period of time while the storm of the deal closes. And as deals are, you start to come out of a chapter of life where you've built something for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and it's all consuming during the sale. And now everything clears. And as you have space between the close of escrow and the funds being in the trust, now you have new opportunities for new investments. And that looks like, for example, a client of mine, Shay sold a business for a couple $1 million. And his dream was to build and buy land and build 70 plus units in Tennessee. And so he used the trust as a joint venture partner to partner with him to build 72 units. And that's a cool way for the trust, all tax deferred, to invest alongside of you while he ran, managed, built, did all of those things. The key was it was investment property. It had business purpose, and it wasn't for just a primary home, right? A primary home or something that would be personal, be taxable. And so that's one example. Another example would be for a client of Jake and I's who sold cryptocurrency. In fact, she bought Bitcoin at a very low valuation, about $50,000. It went to over $50 million. And she never sold the Bitcoin until she met us and had a clear plan for how to only defer the tax. That was one of her biggest challenges. But second, she wanted to be entrepreneur with the capital. And for her, that meant starting an online educational academy for kids and teenagers across the world is the goal, with her business partner, that it was a good college friend of hers. And that was been their dream. And so instead of building Google's dream, she used to work for Google. She's now able to use the trust, defer the tax with the sale of the Bitcoin, and build and make an impact with the wealth. And that's the ability to be entrepreneurial with the wealth. It can be seed capital for a new business venture. It can partner up with others who are with you, and it can invest into investment real estate. That's the beauty of the deferred sales trust. Jake, you want to add to that?
Essentially, the deferred sales trust, for a lot of these people, specifically the individual who had money in crypto, they had the expectation, or they had budgeted, just like normal business owners, for the taxes. And we opened up their mind to other possibilities, because yes, they'll pay taxes, but somewhere down the road. And meanwhile, they get the utility of what they would have spent in taxes now. So she specifically spent money or invested it in this other business with this lifetime friend of hers, with funds that she would have otherwise given the government earlier than is necessary. And so she was able to accomplish much more by working with us. I think that's the moral of the story. What we bring to the table are new, or not necessarily new, but opportunities and options that were perhaps not clear or apparent to a lot of these entrepreneurs and business owners to begin with. And we help them stay within the guardrails of what is ethical, moral, and legal. And by doing so, now they can do much more with their money than they originally thought.
I think that's perfect, Jake. And I also think people hate taxes, right? And the part of why we hate paying taxes is because we get taxed a lot. And, being from Taxofornia myself for many, many years, I saw my parents, friends, and family and ourselves pay all kinds of taxes to a government that tends to waste the money pretty quickly or use it for their own special interests or the things that they're unaccountable or transparent about. And we feel like we're just burning money out the window, right? It's part of why we're seeing the mass exodus out of California and people out of New York moving into very tax-friendly states or states that tend to be more responsible with the stewardship of the capital that pay taxes. And that's part of why we're here, to use every legal means necessary to help you make a bigger impact with the wealth that you've built over the years and years and years and years, and do it in a way that actually benefits job creation, benefits multifamily housing creations, benefits business and operations, and benefits dreams of your own or for others to help build the economy. Because guess what? The economy in America was not built on taxes. In fact, it was built just the opposite, on entrepreneurs, on people who are going to go out and forge a new path, create new commerce, create an amazing America that we call it today. And that's what we're about. We're about trying to reverse, we call it the reverse Tea Party, right? Where the Tea Party in the very beginning, guess what? They fought before America was America, fought for the right to have representation, have rights, have freedom without getting taxed too much. That was the Tea Party at the beginning of it all. And now 240 plus years later, we are now seeing the battle for what's going to happen on this next $84 trillion transfer in the next 20 years. And this is known as the largest wealth transfer in the history of the planet. There's 50,000 baby boomers turning, there's over 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every single day. And there's over 77 million in the US alone. And the question becomes, will all of that wealth be taxed upon the transfer of the highly appreciated assets? Or will it be used tax-advantaged ways, deferred and or eliminate the estate tax to make an impact? And that's what we're here about. We're really here to help you make an impact with your wealth, leave a lasting legacy, and live life on your own terms. Again, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to start your journey with us. We'd love the opportunity to get to know you and to see how the deferred sales trust could be that fit for you. Go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Okay. What do we got, Jake? Anybody else or any other thoughts or questions that we could answer before this Black Friday to get out there? Maybe everyone's out there just shopping for all the stuff, Jake. They're shopping for all the things, I don't know.
Well, and I'm getting ready to go look at an apartment, a government repo apartment that hopefully we can buy at half price. And so, Brett, I might enjoy a little bit of extra time to make my way over there. We have a lot of really good things going on, and a lot of times we use our investors' funds alongside of our funds to make these opportunities happen. So maybe we should just tell people how they can contact us and where they can find us and how we can help them in the future.
Absolutely. So are you, Jake? It sounds good. Where can they find you if they want to find you?
strategictaxsolutions.com, as well as alphamarkcapital.com. Through the two of those companies, we help people with high-level tax strategies, such as the deferred sales trust, as well as what to do with their money now that they've saved so much in taxes. So for more information, please reach out. We also have an 800 number, which is 1-800-773-1848.
Perfect. Jake, thank you so much. And I also want to thank everybody for listening or attending and or watching the recording of the Capital Gains Tax Mastermind. Every single Friday, we're here. By the way, quick little change. We are actually changing this. We're going to a different model. Excited to announce that coming up for the new year. So there's just going to be a couple more of these before the end of the year. And then we're going to a new model starting in the new year. But in the meantime, we're shooting here every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I want to encourage you to take action and learn all you can before you exit, because you don't want to get caught not setting something up early enough and then running out of time. And so the deferred sales trust is going to be set up early, and we can walk you through that before you close, before the buyer removes all contingencies. You can also check out our best 1031 exit plan, where we give you that option for a 1031 exchange and a deferred sales trust. Don't forget the book, Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. Pick up your copy today on Amazon. And lastly, you can check us out and take action by going to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com or calling 916-886-2986. That's 916-886-2986. And make it a great weekend. And we'll talk to you again all real soon. Bye now.